So here's the big, most important lesson for everyone out there to listen at this moment, and that is this. We are only conscious about 5% of the day. 95% of the day, our conscious mind is busy thinking about what happened yesterday, what's going to happen in the future, what I need to do, whatever, blah, blah, blah. I go, yeah, but that means then 95% of the day, you're not operating from your creative conscious mind, which has your wishes and desires, health, happiness, relationships, great job. I say, oh, that's conscious wishes, conscious desires. I go, but that's only 5% of the day. 95% of the day, we are operating from the programs. And here's the part that really screws us up, is because conscious mind is not observing as we're playing these subconscious programs, then if we have a negative program and we're expressing it, conscious mind doesn't see it. Conscious mind's busy thinking. So whatever program is coming out 95% of the day, we don't really observe it. I could summarize it with a story. I've said, I've given 30 years the same story because it works. And that is this. You have a friend, you know your friend's behavior very well. You happen to know your friend's parent. And one day you see your friend is expressing the same behavior as their parent. And then so you want to tell your friend, of course, it's like, hey, Bill, you're just like your dad. And then you back away from Bill, because Bill goes totally ballistic, as Gareth understands right now. Bill goes ballistic. How can you compare me to my dad? I'm nothing like my dad. And everyone laughs. Why? Because they've had this experience. And I say, 2 points, most profound story in the whole world, just from that. And point number 1, everyone else can see that Bill behaves like his dad. It's Bill who doesn't see it. I go, well, how's that happen? I go, because A, he downloaded that behavior in the first 7 years of his life. B, 95% of the day he's thinking and automatically playing this behavior. And C, because his conscious mind's not watching the behavior, it's inside thinking, Bill doesn't even see the behavior. So, so basically that's the point. He says, I'm nothing like my dad, and everyone else can see that he is. And that's because we play these programs all day. So that's profound point number 1. Now, everybody get ready, sit down, hold on, because profound point number 2 is this. We are all Bill. Every one of us is doing this all day long. And so this is why problems arise in life, because you have great wishes and desires. And then you try to, get to those wishes and desires. And then you find life is a struggle and it's hard and stuff doesn't come so easy and you sweat over making it happen. And then we look at the world and go, gosh, I wanted to be successful, but apparently the universe isn't helping me because I didn't make it. And then I say, stop for a second. Guess what? The universe was going to give you everything you were thinking about. The unfortunate part is 95% of the day you were operating from a negative belief, just like Bill, and 95% of the day you are, if you don't have a program supporting what you want, the existing program will sabotage what you want. And therefore, inevitably, anything that we really struggle to find, whether it's a relationship, a good job, health, whatever you're looking for, and you're struggling to manage to get it, is it because the universe doesn't give it to us? That's our perception, because we don't even see we're involved. We just see the result. I'm not successful. And therefore, must be the universe is the problem, because I want to be successful. It's not happening. Therefore, the universe, I'm a victim. That's what we got to clear up. You're not a victim of the universe. If anything, you're a victim of your subconscious programs. And then all of a sudden, why is that important? Because if I perceive I'm a victim of the universe, then I say, I have no control. It's just what happened to me. So therefore, that's life. But then when we understand, wait, I am manifesting this, then all of a sudden I go from victim to the opportunity to be master. Because if I'm manifesting it, then why can't I manifest something different? The answer is yes, you can. But you have to recognize the conscious creative mind, which will manifest that new belief, is still only working 5% of the day, no matter how much awareness your conscious mind has, how knowledgeable it is, how many books you've read of self-help, how many lectures and videos. I say that educates the conscious mind. The original programs, they're still in there. So no matter how smart the conscious mind gets, if you don't change the subconscious program, then 95% of the rest of your life is really not coming from your wishes now, but it's coming from the program. And that's why we look at life as a struggle. When it turns out, no, we're only fighting our own belief. That's where the problem comes from. And it's invisible. And that puts us back into the position, oh, it's not me. It's the universe that's not helping me. I go, because most of the time, like Bill, we don't see that we're playing the program. But let's just acknowledge, sometimes we stop the thought and then come back into consciousness looking, because before, when we're thinking, consciousness was back here. But the moment we start thinking, consciousness then steps up to the wheel, looks out the window, and guess what? It catches the tail end of the behavior that was running while we were thinking. And then we see ourselves and go, oh my God, I was just like my dad. Oh my God, I was just like my mom. You only saw it at the very end, but the damn thing was playing the whole time. Yeah. We use 5% allocating time. 5% is allocated to the conscious creative mind. 95% is allocated to the subconscious program. How much of the brain we use? There's an old history story that says, oh, we only use 10% of our brain. Oh, I spent a long time trying to find, where the heck did that belief come from? But basically, as a cell biologist and histologist, the first thing that came to mind is, oh, wait, the brain, 10% of the brain is neurons, and 90% of the brain are support cells called glia. I said, oh, well, yeah. If you look at the idea that neurons are the only functional cell in the brain, then by definition, we use 10% of the brain because 90% is the supporting material. But that story falls out the window because modern science reveals that that other supporting material is all integration and connectivity. So all of a sudden, we're not using 10% of the brain, we're using the whole brain. Okay? But not all the time, because it depends like which part you want to activate, what you're thinking about, what you want to do. So we have access to the whole brain and we could use the whole brain, but sometimes we only focus on some aspect and then don't use the whole brain. But the whole idea that we use 10% of our brain is not factual in that regard. It is only represented that 10% of the brain is neurons, but you must include the other 90% because they're integration. I wasn't born in a Christian religion, but it's interesting because the most profound words that I can say right now regarding the foundation of Jesus and his teachings is that on this last day on the cross, on the last moment, he said, Father, forgive them, they know not what they do. And I go, man, that's exactly applies to everything we're doing here. Because if the parents are being bad parents and just terrible parents, and we want to blame them, and I said, you have to forgive them because they themselves don't even know that they're doing it, because they're just playing the same program that they got from their parents, who got it from their parents, and perpetuate this problem. And then we blame the parents, and I go, look, they had no idea what the hell they were doing. If they were aware of what the stuff we're talking about right now, they wouldn't have been the parents they were. But they were not aware of it. They were just playing the same downloaded programs that they got. It's very interesting. I was giving a talk in Israel, and we bussed in 3 busloads of Arab Muslims from the West Bank to come to this program. And it's interesting because usually the Jews and the Arabs don't mix at that level, but in our big, we had like 1,500 or 2,000 people at the lecture. And what was so interesting about it was I go through the whole story about how the programming occurs and how much of the programming is playing. And I'm trying to tell them, that is the problem. And then I say, that is the problem. I'm using PowerPoint. I push the button to the next slide. And it's a big black screen. It says, the problem. And then immediately 2 images show up. One of them with Israeli kids playing with machine guns. And the other is Arab kids dressed up, kids in military uniform carrying like wooden guns, as if they were soldiers. And I said, this is the problem. These kids what are they learning? That they hate the other people, that war is going to be, the necessary way, and we're going to play with guns, and we're going to kill, and we're going to be in an army and all that. I go, you're training these kids to hate other people. When they were born, they didn't even know other people. And in the early stages, when you said, those people, the ones we hate, even the kid doesn't know who the heck you're talking about, but learns the program. And the program is, I hate Arabs, I hate Jews. I go, who's an Arab? Who's a Jew? Kid doesn't even know. And then they say, oh, that's an Arab. And all of a sudden now that person gets connected to the program and now we have hate, okay? So I said, your problem is you've been perpetuating violence to these kids from the time they were infants to hate the other side, and that war is the resolution. So that was the picture called The Problem. And then the next slide, I push the button, black screen, but in top it says The Solution. And then two pictures show up, one with two girls, an Arab girl and an Israeli girl, walking hand in hand and, and talking and, obviously just enjoying each other. And the same thing with an Arab boy and a Jewish boy playing together. And I said, this is the solution, because if you play with the other people and you start to recognize they're just like you. I mean, what the heck does a kindergartner know from who's an Arab, who's a Jew, who's good, who's bad? They're playing with each other. And if they keep playing with each other and they get older, guess what? They'll always play with each other.